Drug-free workplace. Following is the employee education outline for this training. The objectives for the training, the overview of the drug-free workplace policy, impact of substance abuse in the workplace, ways that people use alcohol and other drugs, understanding addiction, signs and symptoms of substance abuse, the impact on family and coworkers, what should people do if they need assistance, and always the confidentiality of these issues and specific drugs of abuse. The objectives, at the end of this training, employees should be familiar with the drug-free workplace policy and aware of the dangers of alcohol and drug abuse. Employees should understand the requirements of the drug-free workplace policy, the prevalence of alcohol and drug abuse and its impact on the workplace, how to recognize the link between poor performance and alcohol and drug abuse, the progression of the disease of alcohol and drug addiction, and what types of assistance may be available. The drug-free workplace policy accomplishes two major things. It sends a clear message that alcohol and drug abuse in the workplace is prohibited, and it encourages employees who have problems with alcohol and drugs to voluntarily seek help. It's designed to protect the health and safety of all employees, customers, and the public, and to safeguard the employer assets from theft and destruction. It can help protect trade secrets, maintain product quality and company integrity and reputation, and to comply with the Drug-Free Workplace Act of 1988 or any other applicable state laws. What is the purpose of the policy and program? Who's covered by the policy? When does the policy apply? What behavior is prohibited? Are employees required to notify supervisors of drug-related convictions? Does the policy include searches? Does the program include drug testing? What are the consequences of violating the policy? Are there return to work agreements? What type of assistance is available to employees needing help? How is employee confidentiality protected? And who's responsible for enforcing the policy? How is the policy communicated to employees? The impact of substance abuse at the workplace is tremendous. It impacts employee health, productivity, decision-making, the safety of our workers, employee morale, security, and our organization's image in the community. Lots of ways that people use alcohol and drugs. Usually starts out as experimentation, maybe socially or recreational, maybe as a stress reliever. Abuse is using a substance to modify or control mood or state of mind in a manner that is illegal or harmful to oneself or others. Potential consequences of drug and alcohol abuse include accidents or injuries, blackouts, legal problems, poor job performance, family problems, and sexual behavior that increases the risk of HIV infections. Addiction is the irresistible compulsion to use alcohol and other drugs despite adverse consequences. It's characterized by repeated failures to control use, increased tolerance, and increased disruption in the family. For 1 in 10 people, abuse leads to addiction. Addiction to alcohol and other drugs is chronic, progressive, primary, terminal, and characterized by denial. Lots of risk of addiction. Addiction is a family disease. Prior use of alcohol and other drugs increases the risk. And there are other contributing factors. The signs and symptoms of drug abuse, usually it affects people emotionally, behaviorally, and physically. Emotional effects of substance abuse. Some people become aggressive. It can cause you to burn out. It can cause people to be anxious and anxiety. It can cause people to be depressed. It can cause paranoia. And also denial. Behavioral effects can cause people to be slow to react, slow reaction times. It can cause you to be uncoordinated, impaired coordination, slowed or slurred speech. It can cause you to be irritable. Some people have excessive talking or inability to sit still. They may have limited attention span, poor motivation, and lack of energy. Physical effects: weight loss, sweating, chills, smell of alcohol, shaking. It impacts both family and coworkers. One of the impacts is enabling. This is an action that someone takes to protect a person with a problem from the consequences of his or her actions. Unfortunately, enabling helps the person to not deal with his or her problem. People who are aware and enable folks that are addicted to drugs and alcohol are also responsible for contributing to their problem. Examples of enabling would include covering up or rationalizing, withdrawing and avoiding the person, blaming somebody else or some other situation. They may use enabling to control the person, or they may use threats. Examples of traps that family members and coworkers fall into is they feel sorry for them. They make excuses, they apologize, they try to make diversions, they may get anger, they may cry, may feel pity for them. Things to remember: difficulty performance on the job can sometimes be caused by unrecognized personal problems, including addiction to alcohol and other drugs. Help is available, and although the supervisor may suspect that an employee's performance is poor because of underlying personal problems, it is up to the employee to decide whether or not that is the case. It is employee's responsibility to decide whether or not to seek help. Addiction is treatable and reversible. An employee's decision to seek help is a private one and will not be made public. EAP services, if they're available, can help the employee decide what to do if they have a problem with alcohol or drugs. An EAP can also help an employee decide what to do if someone in his or her family work group has a problem. And conversations with an EAP are confidential. If EAP services are not available, help may be available from community hotlines, self-help groups such as Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Al-Anon, etc. Could be available from community mental health centers, private therapists or counselors, or addiction treatment centers. Problems will not be made public. They're confidential. Conversations with an EAP professional or other referral agent are private and will be protected. All information related to performance issues will be maintained in his or her personnel file, and information about referral to treatment will be kept separately. Information about treatment for addiction or mental illness is not a matter of public record and cannot be shared without a signed release from the employee. If an employee chooses to tell coworkers about his or her private concerns, that is his or her decision. When an employee tells his or her supervisor something in confidence, supervisors are obligated to protect that disclosure. If EAP services are available, employees are also assured that EAP records are separate from personnel records and can be assessed only with signed release from the employee. EAP professionals are bound by a code of ethics to protect the confidentiality of the employee and family members that they serve. There are clear limits on when and what information an EAP professional can share and with whom they can share it. There are some limitations on confidentiality that may require disclosure. When knowledge of child abuse, elderly abuse, or serious threats of homicide or suicide, the law dictates that this be disclosed to appropriate authorities. Reporting participation in an EAP to the referring supervisor, reporting the results of an assessment and evaluation following a positive drug test, verifying medical information to authorize release time or satisfy fitness for duty concerns as specified in company policy, and revealing medical information to the insurance company in order to qualify for coverage under a benefits plan. Specific drugs of abuse: alcohol, marijuana, inhalants, cocaine, stimulants, depressants, hallucinogens, narcotics, and designer drugs. All of these drugs are not allowed to be used at work, and in many instances away from work, because the substances remain in the body for longer than 16 hours, which is the normal amount of time people are away from work. In summary, if you have a problem, seek help. If someone in your family has a problem, help's available for you too. Do not enable someone that has a drug or alcohol problem. You're only helping them, contributing to their problem. And entering into a program for help is confidential. Thank you.